Good morning,
Oh,
CPC YA
hey,
friends and family.
hey, what's up?
Last night, we opened the new message series titled The Church.
That we did.
Which is a spin-off kind of, well, there's three main points, right, for the next couple of weeks, and that's kind of our main theme here at Connection Point Church, and that is connect, grow, and go.
Yep.
So last night, we covered connect.
We did. Yes. I just felt like it was an appropriate place to go from our previous series. We're talking about the gospel and sharing the gospel because if you are new to the CPC family, new to the CPC YA family, and especially if you weren't with us on Sunday night, Connect, Grow, Go is kind of how our church describes what's known as the Great Commission in the Bible, how Jesus tells us to go into the world and make disciples. And this is kind of the process we follow to help do that. So when we talk about connect, we're connecting people not only to each other and finding, spiritual community, but most importantly, we're connecting them to Jesus. Yeah. And, Sunday night, I really wanted to talk about, because a lot of times we look at connecting someone to Jesus as just say the salvation prayer and that's it. And don't get me wrong, that salvation prayer is important.
It's so important.
And we need to make that choice to ask Jesus into our hearts, ask Jesus into our lives. But connecting with Jesus goes so much deeper than that too, because it also connects us to our purpose. Mm-hmm. It connects us to, where does he want to take you in life? Your faith, your walk with Christ, it's a journey. You're going somewhere. You're moving towards something. And so I thought it was important Sunday night to take a look at what that means and what that is.
Yeah, I'd say that for those who their faith is just a salvation prayer. Their relationship with Jesus is just a salvation prayer. They are the Christians who are lukewarm. To go deep is, I believe, that's what Jesus wants. Jesus wants to have a relationship with you, not just one-time prayer so you can gain entrance into heaven. He wants a relationship. He wants you to be in a relationship with him, just like you're in a relationship with your friends and your family on earth.
There's a couple of sad points to that. I feel like one, they think they're okay.
Yep.
Two, I obviously haven't been in any other churches for a very long time, other than watching a few online and stuff. But I feel like our church makes it very obvious that you should take a next step and what some of those next steps might be.
Yep.
I know there's other churches that do that.
For sure.
Just because we model some of the things we do after other people, obviously. People that do it better than we do, we look up to them. But, in the past churches I've been to, maybe I wasn't paying attention, maybe I didn't care at that time. But I don't remember hearing, get in a small group or, just the next steps process in general, right? Maybe get baptized. I feel like I've heard that one, but other religions, sometimes it's like you get baptized even before you're saved, know? So I think that's a big thing to look for when, going to church or looking for a church. Is your church talking about the next steps, or are they even doing a salvation prayer, right? That's the first thing. If there's not a salvation prayer almost every Sunday, I get it. Maybe not every Sunday, but more times than not, then you should probably look around a little bit.
I said, for lack of a better way to put it, just one of the burdens that's on my heart for CPC YA especially, is that I don't want church to just be a thing you show up to.
Yeah.
I don't want it to just be routine because it's Sunday and I've always gone to church, so I'm just going to go to church. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. I want people to be here because they want to be here, and I want people to be here because they want to hang out with good Christian influences and their friends and things like that. Yeah. But I think I talked about this a little bit in the last series, but it's part of why we're going into this series of how does the church come alongside you and help in you sharing the gospel, is because I don't want Christianity to become a spectator sport. I don't want it to be something that you feel like you're just on the sidelines and you just are sitting here every week listening to me or whoever else tell you some good things about the Bible. Like, I want it to become real on the inside of you to where it gets to the point where you're like, I gotta share this with other people. Because as great, I don't care how great a worship experience is, whether it's this church or a different church, what's gonna help bring people into the kingdom the most is other people mobilizing and going out into the streets, into the world, and sharing that faith with other people. I just think that's so important, but I think a lot of people don't understand the commitment that's there. You know, when we look at, you know, through this series, we're going to be looking at the disciples and how Jesus called them. They left everything they knew to follow him.
Yep.
They left their comfort zones. They left what was normal for them, and they decided, I'm going to give everything I've got to this. Yeah. I'm going to follow this. And as Christians, as believers, that's what this takes. We can't cling to our comfort zones. We can't cling to what makes sense to us. We have to know within us, okay, I've got to follow whatever it is that Christ is telling me to do. And he might take me into some situations that feel uncomfortable or that feel foreign or that feel like, oh man, how am I going to have this conversation? But he's taking you there for a reason. You know what I mean?
And I mean, sometimes, you know, I myself have denied some things that Jesus has wanted me to do in my life, but he figured out a way to get me there. You know, he treated me as he did Jonah. You know, he put me in the mouth of a fish and got me there regardless. Yeah. But that's how you opened the message last night with what you were just talking about, the disciples, you know, leaving everything they had. With your point one, accepting the invitation, and you used the passage out of Mark 1 when Jesus called Simon and Peter. Now, the story, as they were fishing, you know, Simon had not caught anything, and then he said, throw your net on the other side. And then he brought in a ton of fish, and then Jesus said, follow me, and I'll make you fishers of men. And then they left. They got out of the boat, and they followed Jesus right then in that moment. They left their career, the only way they were making money, and chose to follow Jesus. And I believe that story is so impactful, especially for today's society, because a lot of people right now are just focused on like making money, and that's it. They don't really care about much else within their life, and I wonder if Jesus were to come now, let's say Jesus hadn't come then and he were to come now, if I don't know if I would leave everything, like the career I have, say I weren't working in the church, and the career I have to go follow a man that at that point I really didn't know. You know, it's scary, but thank God that they did. Thank God that Jesus came then and not now, because, like I said, I don't know. I'm so wrapped up in, you know, we get so caught up in our lives.
Now I feel like
just like a lot of people missed it then.
Yeah.
But there's even more distraction. You know, it's just, I couldn't imagine now. You know, like back then, it's like, oh, I'm busy fishing. Now it's like I'm busy texting while I've got the lure out on the lake.
Busy,
you know,
scrolling
so it's
reels.
like I'm not even. Yeah. Now you're just so much farther gone mentally. You know.
Yeah. And I that's part of what I went into this on Sunday night. I think one of the questions I asked was, are you focused on yourself, or are you focused on Jesus?
Yeah.
What matters the most to you in this moment? Because I think you're right. There's so many. I mean, I say this all the time. This age group, these young adults, you guys are so busy. You have so much going on. I know so many young adults that have like multiple jobs, multiple like responsibilities, side hustles, doing this, doing that. And it's like, and all those things are good. They're fine. But if you run the risk of not focusing on the right things, it's easy to get wrapped up, like you said, wrapped up in all those things to where you don't have time to go do what the Lord's calling you to do. And I think a lot of that, like, refusal to rest.
I was just about to say that, so I guess I'm just going to say it now because apparently I'm supposed to.
Yes.
I feel like it's very hard for me to rest. Like, even if it's like, oh, it's been a long day, I'm finally home, it's 9 o'clock at night, it's very hard for me to sit down and not clean up. Like, if the house is not, it's hard for me to mentally, physically sit down and actually rest when I look at everything else around.
Because you feel like there's more to do.
There's like, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I see that mindset a lot. And to be honest, I think that's just a struggle of your 20s, because I was there for a long time too. Mm-hmm. And I had to realize that a lot of that anxiety that you feel is because of this, like, everything's got to be in control and everything has to fit into, or I don't want to feel judged if somebody thinks that I'm not doing enough. I don't want people to think that I'm lazy. I don't want people to think. A lot of times it's rooted in anxiety or insecurity. You're either scared that you're going to lose control, or you're scared that other people are going to look at your life and think that it's not together. So you feel like you got to do all these things all the time. And I mean, to be honest, I was not very careful with myself in my 20s, and I ran myself into the ground a lot. Mm-hmm. And now in my 30s, I'm paying for a lot of that. And so there's a reason that, I mean, I say it to you guys, I say it to our young adults all the time, like, slow down a little bit. Yeah, relax.
Lazy is a very interesting thing. Because I think my whole life I was like, I never want to be looked at as that. But then when you do too much, because you try and control everything because you don't want to look lazy, then it's almost to a point where you're doing so much that you miss certain things.
Yes.
That if someone sees it or looks at it, they think maybe he's lazy because like he didn't even look at this.
Yeah.
You know, whenever in your mind, it's like, I got 1,700 things going on.
Yeah.
And I did that like with everything I could, you know, or just whatever it is for an example. Yeah. You know, and it's like, dang, and they still see you as lazy.
There's a very tricky balance to it. And you learn it more as you get older, and you learn it more as you are intentional about it. Is that you only have a certain amount of energy. You are a finite being. There are limitations to you. Yeah. And so, yes, you should always do the best you can. You should always, whatever the Lord gives you to do, you should do it, you know, with the right heart, the right spirit, everything that you've got in you. Mm-hmm. But you have to make sure that you are being responsible with your health. You have to make sure you're being responsible just with your physical body. Yeah. You only have so much energy you can give, so you got to make sure you're giving your energy to the right things. If you are just filling your time with things to keep yourself from thinking, so that you don't, you know, a lot of times you're. I find that, like, for me, if I'm just constantly scared to stop, it's because I know that when I stop, I'm going to have to confront something in my mind. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to think about something I don't want to think about. That's where that anxiety and that insecurity start coming in. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times I have to train myself to stop. Okay, what am I trying to avoid? Mm. What am I giving energy to right now that I don't need to give energy to? Yeah. And I think that when we take a chance to do that, we take a chance to stop. Those are the moments where you start to hear what the Lord's been trying to tell you. Mm-hmm. And then it becomes a little bit easier to follow. It's hard to hear instruction when there's a bunch going on. Like when you're in school and you know, we've all been in noisy classrooms, right? Yep. And the teacher's trying to tell you something, but you can't hear. Mm-hmm. And what's the teacher usually do? Everybody be quiet. Yep. Because you can't hear instruction when there's a lot of junk going on. Mm-hmm. You got to quiet it down a little bit, and then you can hear what you're supposed to be doing, and then you can complete whatever steps, whatever tasks are there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so important in all of our lives, is just to find find time. I mean, like that goes back into taking a Sabbath, really, to find time throughout your week where you can rest both physically and spiritually, to get into your word, get into prayer, into conversation with God. And that's when, we really start to build that relationship. We really start to connect with Jesus.
Grayson, you said earlier that you kind of struggle with this, but one thing that I wanna acknowledge here, and this is not to like puff you up or anything. It's just I've seen your life. I've shared some life with you at this point. It might be difficult for you to do things like that, but what's cool is I've watched you do it. To some degree, you gave up a lot of stuff,
right,
to follow what the Lord is leading you to right now. You had a good job with a great income, and you had all these other things going on, and you've got a marriage and a baby, and you took a chance to say, you know what, I'm gonna go do this internship and not earn very much money, but I know
it's true.
This is where God wants me to be. Like, what was that process for you like? Because I know that had to feel a little bit like Jesus popping up and telling you to get out of the boat. That's and you've true. Been a fisherman your whole life, and you don't know what else to do.
I guess I don't try and think about it that way. Just in my head, it's like this is what I'm doing. Okay, it's what I'm doing. Because once I'm all in on something, I'm 100% all in. But the second I'm 100% done with something, like I'm done with it. Like the truck thing, whenever I built a show truck, like I did it, I beat it. I was like, okay, there's nothing more to accomplish. Do it again, like that's boring. eBay, like I got really good at selling on eBay. Like, yeah, you can always make more money, yada yada. But like I did it to where it's like I'm getting plenty of sales every single day. Like I'm bored. And I think something that inspires me in church is not only obviously just my relationship with Christ, but like it's unbeatable. Someone needs saved constantly, right? Like you're never done working. So I think that is something that inspires me completely to just keep going every single day. Mm-hmm. Like there's still someone that needs to hear my story or hear about God or what he's done in my life. But yeah, I was definitely scared the whole year of making absolutely $0. But I think I was less scared than the people around me. Because I saw what God was doing for us, randomly, to help us get by. Because, obviously, if God wouldn't have done anything, we wouldn't have got by.
Right.
And as the year went on, like the funds got less and less, and I pretty much budgeted out, like, hey, we have this much money, we can live for a year. And I really didn't take into account that the internship wasn't going to be through the summer. So that hurt even more because we had to live a whole summer. Basically, how long was summer break for school? Like, that's how long it was. 4 months. So I had to basically, for 3 or 4 months extra, still live off of what I had. I was planning on, semester 1, semester 2, it being back to back. And then boom, there was a 3-month span where I thought, hey, maybe I'll get a part-time job, after the summer. And then I hear, boom, we're not doing any internships during the summer. And I was like, oh, snap. So that's probably when the most fear set in, because I was just like, wasn't planned for that. Then obviously, like the last couple months, like waiting, like hopefully I get year 2, and get a part-time position somewhere. Those are the hardest because like you see the account like getting lower and lower and lower and lower. And it's just like a more of a worse waiting than it was the rest. But like my family and my wife and everybody around me was more worried. My wife kind of just stopped looking at our finances. She was basically just like, I trust you with this. Like just, I can't look at it or else she'll just think too much. And I rarely told her no. Like if she was like, can I get this? I'm like, yeah, like we're good. And I always said like, we're good. And it was nothing crazy. It was like a pair of $15 pants, which is still scary with no income. But I always said, yeah, it's fine. Go for it. Like, yeah, we got the money. Like you're good. Cause I knew the Lord was going to bless us enough to be able to get through and like not be able to just get a few things that we wanted or, be able to spoil my wife sometimes. But it was, it was hard. But yeah, it was harder hearing other people around me be more scared than me because it made me second guess. Like, man, should I be worried? And now I look at myself like I'm still not worried. Like, because some people are still scared for me, right? Because I'm not making a ton. I'm part-time and it's at a church. So it's not that much money. But to me, I'm like, dang, I'm rich. Like, this is amazing.
This is awesome comparatively.
Yeah, but other people, are like, well, here's your bills and here's this. I'm like, yeah, but the Lord took care of that when I had no money. Now I'm at least making money. So like, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. And it is still a scary experience sometimes, even when you are following the Lord, because like we talked about Sunday night, and like, kind of what you're illustrating here, you have to be able to relinquish that control and trust God completely.
Yeah, I definitely had the sleepless nights, where I just could not get it off my mind, like no matter what. Like the times my kid would sleep, 8-9 hours through the night, like I'm up till 4 or 5, just laying there frustrated, like just want to go punch a wall, like just can't sleep, just like, what am I going to do? Yeah. And it's just like Satan just attacking in that moment, obviously, but it's just like, just calm down. Like, it's good.
And now you're more connected to your purpose than you ever been. You're in this season where God's using you in a lot of ways. And that's the benefit of when we choose to connect with Jesus and we choose to follow him completely. He brings us to places that we would have never otherwise thought that we could wind up at,
That's for sure. Never ever thought it. Real quick before I assume we probably end, it is awesome to see how God's also brought basketball back into my life, though.
Yeah.
Just in a completely different way. Obviously, I guess I'm playing in men's league, which has nothing to do with what I'm going to say, but not just as a player, but as a coach or a trainer or whatever that looks like. But also to be able to be a mentor, someone these kids can look up to as well. Right. Because it's like, I did train, before we went to St. Louis, and I had a very good amount of people. Right. But my heart was right, like with God, but I wasn't wanting to be like, let's talk about it, or like, hey, what's your relation? Just bring it up somehow. But after coaching at Notre Dame and stuff, like asking some questions, or honestly, people that's asking me questions and being more prepared definitely than I would have been previously. It's just crazy to see God bring something back to me that I truly, truly love.
For sure.
If there's one thing I love of the world, it's definitely basketball. Yeah.
That's good. It's awesome to see God using you in that, bro. It really is.
Yeah.
Well, the church, I guess you can say part 2 is coming this Sunday. It's not. I lied to you.
We got the
Super Bowl party. How could I forget? So this Sunday, what time? I can't remember. The doors open at 5.
Yes.
Okay. The doors open at 5
p.m. Do not get here at 7 p.m. We will be probably in the second half.
I mean, I guess you could.
Yeah,
You'll just miss.
But this is the perfect opportunity to reach out to a friend.
Make friends.
And invite them to a Super Bowl party at a church, because it's not a churchy situation, right? Like, we're still going to be Christians.
I mean, we're straight chilling,
but we're just not going to feel like they're getting preached to. It's not going to feel like they are uncomfortable during worship or feel out of place. It's going to be strictly just food and games and fun, and watching some football. So it's definitely the prime opportunity to invite somebody that you've maybe felt led to invite to adults.
I love that you said that, because with these message series that we've been in, this last one and this one, I want to make sure everybody understands, like, that is a huge part of why we do these things. Like, when we stand up there and say, hey, we've got X amount of tickets for a SEMO game, or hey, we're doing this Super Bowl party, or hey,
it's all about the connect.
Some of that, we want to just hang out and have fun because we love you guys, but also that's an opportunity for you to reach out to somebody who may feel nervous about coming to church, or they're on the fence about what they believe and things like that.
Plus, we're still just normal people, right? Like, me and Tyke go to the gym. We don't just sit there and like pray over each other the whole time. Like, we're still normal friends that do things, right? Like, go to SEMO games as friends.
And I think that, when people are able to see that, it kind of brings their guard down a little bit and helps them experience and grasp a little bit more of what's going on. So I just want you guys to know, like, we're not just talking about these things as far as sharing the gospel and being the church and stuff like that. These things that we do we do strategically and we do for a reason, and they're to give you an opportunity to live those things out. So
yeah.
Super Bowl party.
I think my sister and her husband are going to come.
Yes.
I'm pumped.
It's awesome.
Hope they bring my niece.
Can't wait to cheer with y'all about the Chiefs winning. And
it'll be really sad for you guys whenever the 49ers win.
We'll count how many times they show Taylor Swift on the screen.
Yep.
We should do like an over under. Like if you get
down.
close to the number, you get like a gift card or something.
We'll see.
I feel like
we're probably not going to do that.
I feel like the elders and the board would have to approve that one.
Yeah, probably not going to actually do that.
You get a high five though.
Yeah, if you just get close to the number, I'll give you a hug.
And then when she cries at the end of the game when the Chiefs leave, when the Chiefs lose, that'll be even better.
All right. Well, we love you guys.
We will see you this Sunday at 5. Peace out.
See you guys.
See ya.